this tree board meeting to order. And well, I guess you need to do anything as far as taking attendance?
Here's the agenda.
I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Cody Beaver.
We're good. Attendance of the
And the pledge of allegiance, I guess we'll stand and do that. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm glad we do that. Our old tree board meetings didn't do it.
Oh, really?
Because they were very informative.
I like to
Formal.
just,
I like
all
it.
of our meetings are the same.
Oh, I like it. It's awesome.
Okay.
Review and approval our previous minutes. Anybody have any items to talk about on the minutes? I was noticing on there that we Scott Long and Chris Wasson were expiring June 1st, 25 their terms, and they were both agreed to do another 3-year term. And I was just showing up here that there's actually a page out at the website that shows they have out to 2028 now. So we're good to go on our tree board members. Anybody have any other comments about the minutes?
On paragraph 6, when
Yeah.
we were talking about big trees that we were going to remove from our list,
Yeah.
I do not recall thinking that we were going to remove bald cypress. Why would we do that?
I don't think we were going to remove it either. On the large tree list,
Trees to remove, and it says green ash, white ash, bald cypress.
Well, I think with the bulk cypress, it was like on the near sidewalks and stuff because of the knees.
So to not be planted.
oh,
right away
removing the
because of
fallow trees. Yeah. We have a lot of bald cypress and teas in town.
And I mean, Cody's right. I mean, they can heave sidewalks, but
Yeah.
So I think that these trees,
I don't recall it being either.
these are street trees, so we wouldn't want them near, if they can knock out sidewalks and stuff, we wouldn't want them near sidewalks and streets, right?
But they're not
They can still park them in.
we already, that cat's kind of out of the bag. We got
That's
so
what
many
we're
of them already.
Right.
And honestly, they're some of our best performing trees at this point.
Yeah, they are.
Wonderful trees.
Yeah, I could point to several where there's some of our best street trees.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't recall. I agree with you. I don't recall that being put on there to take it off, remove. Bradford pear makes sense, and the ash trees make sense, but yeah, I don't recall bald cypress coming up. I don't know where that came from.
I think I made a comment about the Latin name for bald cypress in our ordinance was misspelled. Maybe that.
Yeah, that might have prompted it.
Do you want me to go back and review the video, or?
I guess we could just vote on this. Is anybody against removing? Keeping bald cypress on our list instead of removing it? Is there anyone against that?
Well,
Restate that again.
yeah,
Well, so right now the minutes are showing to remove bald cypress from the list of large trees. So I'm saying that them is apparently an error, and we should take that out of the minutes and keep it on our list. Is there anybody opposed to keeping it on the list?
I move we strike bald cypress from paragraph 6 there
Okay.
on the trees to remove.
So, how about this? How about you move to accept the minute? Okay, hang on. Motion to accept the minutes as amended
Okay.
to add back in the bald cypress.
Okay. Sounds good, yeah. I
I'll
accept
second that
as
motion.
friendly motion.
Is our secretary with that? You understand what we're voting on? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right. So our next order of business is.
Well, I move we, did we already,
Should we actually move
was
to
that motion
keep it
to
on
accept
large
the
tree
minutes
list?
As amended.
Okay,
All right. Yep.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we need a motion to actually have it on the large tree list, or is taking it off the minutes good enough? I make a motion that we keep bald cypress on the tree list for large trees.
Second?
Any discussion? favor say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. All right.
Alright,
Either way, we got it that one now.
Okay.
All right. So we're up to the action agenda. Our old business is to review the tree inventory, and we've been talking about that. And then there's a tree trimming RFP. So do we discuss the tree inventory is not an actual action item?
yeah, so first is A, and then we'll go through and we'll discuss the RFP,
So this inventory was done by Break, is that
Break
correct?
Street here.
My understanding, and so we've got a long list of trees, the number on here is 459, but the email or something we got was talking about 500 and something, so that confused me.
Yeah, I think the numbering might be a little off
Yeah,
there.
you can't go by the numbers on that one because the way he has his columns, like some of those. There's like
Oh, well, there's a
streets.
lot of ones that are streets, but there's no trees on the
Right,
streets.
right, yeah.
So it shouldn't
that
be a number.
messes up his numbering, yeah. It was 525 was the number he gave us at committee.
Oh, really? Yeah, because I mean, there's not a number next to the streets that don't have trees, so I was thinking the numbering seemed pretty good on this Excel sheet, but maybe
Yeah,
something
there's
I missed.
several, yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion about the tree inventory?
Did anyone see anything that was possibly missed that we need to go back over with breaks to see if they had accounted for, or do you think that it's pretty complete for what we're needing?
There was a couple on Sneed Street, and I actually mentioned it to the mayor because he happened to be walking by one day.
I believe he did point those out to me.
All right.
You'd mentioned something about Bradford to me the other day. You think Bradford's covered on here?
Well, just because of the really wide right of way,
Yeah.
they're south of the Rose Garden. But I haven't walked down to see if they have the little,
A tag.
Oh, tags on
so
that.
I don't know.
Because there's some listed here on Bradford, but you'd have to know what block it is.
Must be the
First block south of
300 block south.
I see 315.
So, but there's some on the west side of the road
It's a
that
dash.
are outside the sidewalk, which would be more obvious. Yeah, I don't know. I'd say just check Bradford with the understanding of how wide the right of way is.
Jefferson is the other one I was thinking of, has a really wide right of way, but it has sidewalks on both sides, so it's just a matter of I'm assuming they used between the sidewalks as their general rule of thumb for developing the tree.
Yes, no, so they had maps, like how that one shows with the rights of way, but like even from the parcel viewers, sometimes they're a little off. So
Yeah,
they would
yeah.
also use like where the placement of the water meters are, but in
Oh.
some of the really older areas, even that's a little off. So we're just gonna go back to after they're in the GIS system and we have that data, so we can go through and really pinpoint.
Yeah, so the GIS has the correct right of ways on it, so that may.
Yeah.
So there's somebody's gonna look, or there's some that are tagged on the.
Yes, Matthew's gonna
GIS.
go through and really comb through it and make sure that all of our trees are counted.
Water meters are generally on the property line.
Really close, yeah. Because the homeowners or the developer is responsible for their side of the meter,
Right.
so I like to get as close to the property line as possible.
That makes a lot of sense.
There are at least 4 trees on Adams Street that they haven't marked that should be.
Adams,
And Bruton Street, right before the railroad track in Columbia, that's an 80-foot right of way. There's several trees there that they haven't marked, which I think probably, they need to recheck that whole intersection. Because we took out 2 on 316 Bruton, and there's trees closer than those 2 that they haven't marked.
okay.
Will that show up on the GIS?
Mm-hmm.
Like that 80-foot right of way, it'll be on
Oh,
there.
yeah, it shows them, yeah.
Cool. So maybe that's something that some of those will be cut, but
Yeah, and I believe it was Barnes Street. I don't think they got it all, so we're just getting a good chunk of them together. That way they can come to town and get them all.
the other thing that additional right of ways apparently was the add-on ones. I was wondering first if like those were rear easements and alleys, but those are just streets, ones that got missed on the end there. Did they consider rear easements and alleys?
So the city's only responsible for trees and rights of way. So if there's alley right of way, then they would have checked those areas. But for easements, those are homeowners' trees.
So I mean, this includes alleys.
If there's an alley
If
right
there's
of
a
way.
right of way,
Mhm.
so that would be on GIS. All the alley
Yes.
right of ways are on.
Mhm.
The other question I had was the immediate removal, and there's some of them in the notes say remove or remove, and then there's some that say immediate removal in the notes. Do you know if there's a difference in those?
So I believe there's 3 immediate removals. One of them has already been removed because they didn't feel comfortable walking away from the tree. And we're going to work on the other 2 just because they are very dangerous.
So they're like that did mean something. Their
Yes.
immediate removal is
Yes. Yeah.
is immediate. I mean,
Yes.
you get this before it falls.
Mhm.
Okay. That was questions I had. Anybody else got questions about the tree inventory? It's nice to actually have an inventory. It's a good step for the city. I know that's something that's been talked about in the past about trying to get a trim grant for that, and I know the park board did that. There were a few on here that said the park back in
Yeah, I
the
noticed
additional
that.
trees. I didn't know if we're duplicating some of the park one or not. I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Most of them that were on here for the park showed they were okay.
Mhm.
So they've removed the ones that are not okay, or a lot of them have.
Yeah. I think he's got about 40 more trees.
Yeah, Earl's really
That
been
sound
working on
right?
those.
Pearl, he have about 40 more
Oh,
trees
yeah.
he's looking at.
There's a bunch of them, red X's on them, stuff I've seen out in parks.
Yeah. And he's been chopping away at those.
And he's been getting trim grants, which the fact that we're a Tree City USA allows them to get a bigger proportion of a grant. So, I mean, even though we're not getting grants ourselves, the fact that we're doing the work to become a Tree City USA has been providing the avenue for the park board to get a greater portion of the grant paid. So I think that's a good thing.
And I think that proportion is probably 25% almost, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Yeah, it's a
I was
size.
going to say 80-20 versus 90-10, but I think they've changed over time. So, anything else on the inventory? So that takes us to the RFP, I think.
This is the RFP it came up with. We're going to focus on the risk scores of 10 to 13 until we either run out of money or we run out of 10 to 13 trees. So if that happens and we still have money, then we'll start working on the 9s. And we'll just keep going down until we run out of money. We had this money budgeted for this year, so we figure we get the worst of the worst down. And
So 325,000 been approved by the Board of Aldermen. Cool.
I did have a question, just one specific tree. It's a big American elm tree over in front of John Day's house. I don't know if you know where he lives on Collier. You know where John Day lives?
No, I know.
Collier Street, corner of Collier and Barnes, I believe.
There's a lot of trees on Collier.
Yeah.
Oh, that huge one?
It's an American elm, and it lost a sizable branch out a couple of years ago. I think it's listed, well, it's tree number 36. It's got an 11 on it. But if there was ever a tree that I feel like crown reduction and some proper pruning, that tree deserves it.
okay.
To try to
That
save
tree
it.
doesn't deserve to be removed.
I remember one time we had a Missouri Department of Conservation come up here and say that's one of the bigger elms they've seen in the state.
There's
Yeah,
not
so-
many as big as that one. And big trees are inherently more dangerous, I get you. But, man, that's a majestic tree. And I know the
That's the one that the sidewalk curves around it.
yeah.
Intentionally, the sidewalk went around it so we could try to save it.
It's
No, I
only
think
3% dead canopy, so,
Right.
yeah.
Well, it's a
I think
nice
that
tree.
if the older trees can be saved just by trimming them back, that we'll definitely be looking at doing that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Did it have an X to be removed on there?
No,
But
I
it
think
would
it's
be in
just
the 10 to
comments.
13. So
Yeah,
It is, so
Right.
we would look at that.
Tree
So
36.
Yes.
number 36, yeah.
try to save that and trim it and prune it instead of removing. That'd be a lot of money just for that one tree to remove that. It's a big one.
Oh, it's huge, but it's majestic.
Which that's going to really tie into the bid. I don't know how they're going to. Different people do bids on this, but they're going to be bidding on different trees. So
they're all gonna get the same information and the tree inventory. So they're gonna have the remarks that came from the inventory. So that tree in particular, they're gonna see that it's not marked for removal. It's just gonna need quite a bit of work to get it healthy.
But I'm just thinking if they're bidding on apples and oranges here, because some of them will bid on all the 13s, and somebody will do, hey, I'm going to bid all of the 10 to 13s that's in this grid so I can focus my. I mean, will that matter? I mean,
So
or do we really even care because we know we're going to be doing over 2 or 3 years the 10 to 13s?
well, we're hoping to get the 10 to 13s taken
Most of
care
them the
all
first year.
This first year.
But that 325 could really, like the biggest ones, like huge. If they're the big diameters are going to eat up. If they bid those, they're going to eat up a big chunk of it right there.
So the way that we've got for the bid, they can bid it out by the DBH,
Right.
and we've got them by the different diameters and widths. So we're gonna know basically what size tree is, how much that's gonna cost us, and then that's gonna help us be able to look at each bidder equally, because they're gonna be able to show us how much they're gonna charge us for each one of those services.
Just going to throw this out. Would it be any benefit to this round one, we'll call it, because there's several trees in here that are not ash trees, but they're listed as removals. Since this whole project came about because of the emerald ash borer, do you think it would be wise or a good idea to simply focus on ash trees?
It depends on how dangerous that tree is. So if it's another species and is deemed, dangerous, that it has a big limb that could fall off and hurt somebody, I think we should take it down.
And there is some silver maples around and other trees that are elderly.
And my hope is that we're going to continue, like this is the starting point, right? So we're going to we're going to cull all of our dead trees, get all of them down, kind of trim up and prune our healthier trees that could possibly live through it, and then just keep up on it. And every year do a thorough trimming. We intend to keep this up. So when we plant new trees, we're going to put them in on this spreadsheet. We're going to put them in the GIS system. That way we can track them, have the species, even if that means, having an arborist go around and do all of that for us every year or every 2 years. Whatever we think is going to be necessary to keep the health of our trees up, and then hopefully we just don't have this huge problem anymore.
Related to your question, I mean, it seems to me we should, there's got the 4 bullets on the contract here. It seems like the tree removals of our highest risk ones, 10 to 13, should be the number 1 goal. The stump grinding, the utility line clearance, traffic control, those seem like they would be less of a priority, and I don't, this contract doesn't really prioritize it, other than I think right at the top it said something about Oh, the very top thing says priority risk score is 10 to 13.
Mhm.
But it also says line clearance services. So are we trying to do some line clearance things under this too?
Because we have a lot of trees that are around lines that need to come down, so we want to make sure that the contractor that we choose is certified to work around lines.
But as far as like just strictly line clearance, isn't that like an electric department function?
No,
Versus the
not all of
contractor
it.
doing it?
So we usually set aside about $25,000 a year to do line clearance, and that's where the extra $25,000 is coming from.
Oh,
So we had set aside
300 and the 25 has been mixed together. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, so part of the taking down is the line clearance if they're in the way, yeah.
But I guess I would hate to see us like not remove some of the 10 to 13s and spend half the money on line clearance versus just 25. I don't. Somebody's going to be deciding that at the city, I guess.
Yeah, we can get a lot of line clearance done. Line clearance is the cheapest thing to do as far as the trees are. So we can get quite a bit of line clearance done with $25,000. So that's why we kind of combined it, because if there isn't a lot of line
Yeah,
clearance,
then that can go into the
because it's a
removal.
tree removal, then
Right.
our biggest priority is definitely that. But that's why we bid it the way that we did, instead of doing it tree by tree. It's out there. These are the trees we're looking at. We want you to bid, say how much you're going to remove them for us for. We want to know what you're going to charge us for traffic control, if that's going to be needed, and stump grinding. Because the way we went through, and if we were to remove all of the 13s, based off the average price that we've gotten for like the last 2 years, it's only about $135,000. And I say only because that's
Right.
still a lot of money, but for the amount of money that we have ready to go in the budget, I think we're going to be able to get a lot of these trees down.
So the stump grinding goes with it. Every tree that's removed will have the stump
If we have
ground
enough
versus
money.
waiting on it, or
If we have enough
I
money.
didn't know if that was going to
Yeah.
be prioritized. That hey, if we do that tree, we've got to grind the stumps, or can we remove some trees and like half the stumps to get to and hit the 325,
It'll
and then the
be-
other stumps could be later. But
So-
then you have people complain, hey, you didn't grind my stump.
Yeah, if we take down 250 trees and we have 250 stumps just laying, sitting
Right.
around for who knows how long. But that's a conversation we're gonna have with whichever contractor's chosen. Are you gonna charge us more to grind a stump? We ask you to wait until the end so we know how many trees that we can get down, or are you gonna charge us less if you want to remove the tree and the stump since you're right there on that day?
Right.
So it's just gonna be conversations after they're chosen to figure out how best to work it.
That's questions I had. Anybody else have questions about the RFP? So I guess you want us to take a motion up on the RFP to recommend it to the alderman, or do we not need
It
to?
doesn't need to be recommended.
You've already
I
got
just
an
wanted.
RFP going.
It's exactly this, unless you guys had any major changes that you wanted to see done in there or added. But other than that, I plan on posting it first thing tomorrow morning and get it out there. So we can get it on the November, I think I've got it set so it can be on the November Board of Alderman meeting for their approval.
So we don't need to take any action unless we have a change.
Nope, if you guys are good with
So
it,
does
then.
anybody have a change that they want?
No.
Oh, I thought it looked good.
All right, great. Yeah, appreciate the city moving forward with this and developing this RFP. Somebody put a lot of work into this, so we appreciate it. That takes us to
The fun stuff.
the fun stuff. I don't know anything else in that list.
So I'd
Oh,
like.
discussion.
Mhm.
Downtown. Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay.
I'd like to talk to you guys about a project idea that I came up with from attending the MML conference. So, a lot of downtowns have trees in their sidewalks. And I've noticed walking around town this summer that our downtown area is very hot. And there's not a whole lot of shade. And we have very wide sidewalks, and putting trees in our sidewalks would still make us ADA compliant because of the width of our sidewalks in our downtown area. So I was going to get some feedback from you guys to see what you think. I know that there's smaller trees that you can put in where the roots aren't going to upset the sidewalks. Have any of you guys had any experience with that, or the pros or the cons that I would not maybe be thinking of? I think we have to replant trees anyway, and I think this would be a really good way to beautify the downtown area, really add some greenery going up and down Allen Street and outside of the square around it.
I know they do it in Jefferson City, and they've done a nice job down there. They make big boxes to where so you have a place for the root zone that doesn't break up the concrete. And the way they've done it, they haven't had a lot of problems with their sidewalks. But I've also seen some other cities where they didn't have a big area clear, without the concrete, where they have had problems with the sidewalks.
You said Jefferson City?
That's one of those, if you're gonna do it, you need to do it right type of deals. You'd wanna make sure that there's room for the mature roots when they reach that size. Otherwise, you're gonna suffocate it. It won't last.
And there's certain trees, species of trees do better with that than others. They were having a lot of problems there in Jeff City, and they switched to these honey locusts, and they've done really well. But I know there's other species that do well in that circumstance too. But Jeff City is the one I know of. Like downtown Columbia, I don't recall there being trees
There's a
on
few.
Broadway,
Not on Broadway,
but on some of the other streets they have them.
on some of the side streets there is.
But they have it right on High Street. They have them right on High Street.
And there's a few in Columbia. Remember, I've been in them, so.
I agree with Cody in that it's one of those things. If you get your project laid out and you got to factor in building entrances and exits and your utilities and where those all are. But it's been my experience 4 years that I've been doing this. Street trees in a downtown area where they're confined by sidewalk. And I love the project. I think it's a great idea. You have to think of them as somewhat temporary. Because if you get 15, 20 years out of one, chances are you're going to be replanted. And it's still worth doing, but understand that you're not planting that tree to live to be 100 years old.
There's gonna be a bigger turnover, right?
Yeah, it's just a bigger
In
turnover.
Jeff City, there's turnover on those trees. I've noticed.
Yeah.
And
And it's just because you can't maintain them in a nice form and fashion in an environment that they really don't like that much.
Gotcha.
I like happy trees.
Sad. So,
No,
is there
to
a
me
way to
it's
do this to
We
make
have
them
sad
happy?
trees.
no, because there's just not enough room.
Gotcha.
And they're also taking lots of like engine oil and trash and stuff.
And a lot of the cities have gone to the very vertical growth trees. And to me, I think it looks great, and it doesn't hurt my feelings to plant a tree to say that I'm going to love this tree for 15, 20 years, and then I'm going to get a different one. And that's just kind of the way street trees in the more urban environment are.
Okay.
Because it's a solid sidewalk, so right off the bat, you're not going to get a lot of moisture through. You're not going to get any basically through a good sidewalk. So that the bigger the area you have around the tree, that's the area where only area you're going to get moisture going into the.
Were you thinking, Tara, those wrought iron grates,
Yeah.
And I agree. And those are made so that as the tree grows, you break another ring out to allow room.
Gotcha.
Just the way they're built, you would. But that's not your issue. Your issue is the roots and the soil underneath the sidewalk is not going to have a lot of oxygen or air or porosity in the soil. So the roots are not going to want to creep very far underneath there because they're going to run out of air.
Okay.
So they stay kind of confined to the soil conditions that they can tolerate. And
Gotcha.
so, now, The good thing is they won't grow as rapidly as if they were in a really nice, open field or something like that. But that's good because that means they're going to last a little bit longer in that space if they're slightly stunted.
Nice slower growing.
Okay.
Well, I think it's a great idea though, because I've been talking to the Chamber of Commerce for 20 years about that and just couldn't get any traction.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's gone over really well in Jess City, High Street there. People like having the trees there.
that's
And
really pretty.
And they decorate them for Christmas, Christmas lights and stuff.
I'm in favor of that, but don't leave them on all year.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, I might be picking your brains for tree types, and if you guys could maybe think of some stuff, I'll check out Jeff City and probably Columbia, and maybe
There was a
just-
bad experience in Mexico that I'm aware of.
Well, because they put all Bradford pears.
Exactly.
Oh,
Are you aware of that experience in
No.
Mexico, Missouri?
Broke off.
They planted Bradford pears all the way around the square. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're very, very dense trees, and the starlings got in there, and they were crapping all over everybody's
Oh,
cars on
wow.
the square.
The starlings
Exact
used them
opposite
as
of what you
roasting.
They
Wow.
love
It was
those
a
dense
mess.
Bradford pears.
But we don't have to deal with that.
And nobody wants
Yeah.
Bradford pears anymore, and it's not on our list.
No,
Yeah.
no,
But
no,
it's,
you can't-
it's just an example of how you can do it. They had to cut them all out. It was just terrible.
Oh, wow.
That was an example of the worst thing you could do on a downtown project.
We won't do that.
Now we know.
Have you heard about that? Yeah, that was a bad one.
All right,
All right.
that's all I had on that.
Anybody have any other items that may arise? I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
All right, we're done. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for the agenda.